Okay, we're ready.
Okay. Good morning, everybody. Happy Friday. Hope you've had an amazing week. I'm very excited about our next speaker, actually speakers for our speaker series. So let me get to it. Bader Scott's core values are captured in the acronym GROWTH, personally and professionally. And who better to speak with us about growth than two people whose lives serve as examples of what happens when you continue to grow. You know one very well. She's the artist formerly known as Cardi G, the lawyer formerly known as Ashley Gholamhosseini, and after today, the next Fulton County Magistrate Judge known as the Honorable Ashley Drake. Yeah, can you guys give it up? While we can't take credit for your new role, we are extremely proud of you, Ashley, and on behalf of the firm, we wish you the greatest success in your new role. In addition to Judge Drake, we are also privileged to have the Executive Vice President of Waffle House, Jim Gholamhosseini, who over his distinguished career has set him and his teams apart by performing at the highest levels, or as some might say, playing in the major leagues, not the minor leagues. With that, I'm very excited to present the next judge of the Fulton County Magistrate Court, Judge Ashley Drake.
Thank you. Thank you, Seth. All right. That was my hype music. There is a Chinese proverb that says, if you give a man a fish, he will eat for one day. If you teach a man to fish, he will eat for a lifetime. I have learned something that has been very useful to me, and as a departure gift, I want to share it with you. It is something that you can use in the courthouse or in your own house. You can use this skill on potential clients or on a potential boyfriend. You can use it on adjusters. You can use it on the defendant in any area of law, and you can even use it on your own client. How many times have we asked someone a question and gotten a very short answer, a one-word answer, or an incomplete answer? I'm going to teach you a skill called exhaustion. If you use this skill, I promise you, you will have more thorough interviews. You will gather more information than you would have otherwise, and you can use it to lock someone into an answer and hold them accountable for that answer. If you are interested in growing with me today and learning a new skill, then I want you to write this line in the group chat. I am ready to grow. All right. So exhaustion is not something that I came up with. It was taught to me by Philip Miller in his book, Advanced Deposition. So if you're interested in this technique and learning this skill, I've spent a lot of money and traveled to 2 different states to learn how to do this. And there's a lot more to it than this, but I'm teaching you step 1. The purpose of exhaustion is to get the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Now here's the skill. First, you start by asking an open-ended question. After you ask the open-ended question and you get an answer, you're going to say, what else? After each and every subsequent response, you're going to ask, what else? When you hear the person is really done, they're wrapping up their answer, you can say, anything else? And then you're going to restate and summarize what they said. Let me show you some examples. So here's a really common question that we ask in onboarding. Without exhaustion, what are your injuries? Potential client, my back hurts. Well, typically we would move on to the next question, and this is the extent of the information that we would have gathered just from asking this question without exhaustion. Let me show you the same question, but this time I'm going to use exhaustion. What are your injuries? My back hurts. What else? My right shoulder. What else? My neck. What else? That's really it. Anything else? No, that's all. You injured your back, right shoulder, and neck. Are there any other areas of the body that were injured other than those that we just talked about? No. Now you have a more complete and thorough response than you would have without exhaustion. Here's where I really enjoy using it is with adjusters. Susan, can you please tell me why you're only offering $3,000 in this case? Susan might say, oh, your regional medical group bill is too high. What else? Your client's 53, and so this is from degenerative issues. And so with no judgment in my voice, okay, this is not the time to argue. This is the time to gather information. What else? I see that your client stands on their feet all day because they're a hairstylist, so we don't want to have to pay for any of the treatment related to a lower back injury. What else? That's it. Anything else? No. And then I would restate and summarize, lock them into that response. And then what do I do with that information? Whatever I choose to. I can wait for it to use it in trial because now I know what their main complaints are and I know what I need to have counter arguments for. Or I can send a counter offer and address these points. But the point of exhaustion, it's about imperfect information gathering. So you don't want to respond with any like huffing or puffing or any judgment when you say what else. It's about information gathering. Some ways that we can use this at the firm is when you're asking a client about the facts, when you're asking a client about their injuries. Paralegals who do most of our written discovery and litigation, I mean, how many times have we had to ask our clients, what's your medical history? How many prior collisions have you been in? Prior lawsuits, prior convictions. This is a way of getting that information. It takes time, it takes care. And so I want to tell you how attorneys in litigation can do it with defense experts as well. So in a deposition of a defense expert, I might ask this question that you see on my screen here at the bottom. What are all of the documents you reviewed to come to that opinion? So then the defense expert might say, I reviewed this document, that document, that document, and they go through all the documents that the defense attorney provided them. And then you use exhaustion and you lock them into what they reviewed. And then what you can do with that, if you choose to, is hold on to it, use it at trial, or you can use it later in the deposition and say, okay, well, I see you didn't review the medical narrative from Dr. Dominguez in this case. Dr. Goodwin, do you think it's important to review all of the facts before you render an opinion? And now you've locked them into a response. Now, another really fun way to use exhaustion is during the defendant's deposition. Tell me how the accident occurred. So you can use exhaustion on the facts of the accident, get them, to say what their answer is, lock them in when you restate and summarize, make sure, okay, let me get this straight, and you go through everything they said. Is there anything else that happened that we didn't talk about? No. You lock them in. They go to trial. If they deviate at all from what they said before, what do you have now? You have a prior inconsistent statement. You can use it to impeach them, and you get to use the magical line we all see on TV, were you lying then or are you lying now? You can also use this at home, wife to husband. What did you do at Jason's bachelor party this weekend? Or mother to child, what do you want Santa to bring you this year? Un momento, por favor. Okay. Well, y'all, I am not exactly closing my chapter with you. I am sort of just putting a bookmark and a dog ear in a really, really good chapter that I'm hoping to come back to and revisit and reread. But I am in 2 hours getting sworn in and opening another chapter in my career. And I just want to take a second and just let you all know that I am so grateful to all of you for picking me to play on your team. If this was the draft, I got to play for the Falcons. if the Falcons were a winning team. My point is, you were amazing teammates. You were amazing coaches. I was proud to wear your colors. And although I don't get the honor of wearing your jersey anymore, that doesn't mean that I don't respect your game. So without further ado, I am so excited to announce our next speaker. Let me see if my speaker is ready. There he is. Okay. You ready, guys? Oh, that's sweet. Okay. To 48,000 employees in 25 states, he is an executive vice president. But to 2 daughters and a son, he's a great dad. To Waffle House, he's a dedicated employee with a 39-year career. To my mom, he's a devoted husband of 41 years. My dad started as a manager trainee in one little unit 40 years ago. He was promoted through the ranks, and his leadership has influenced nearly every facet of the Waffle House brand, including culture, marketing, franchise operations, HR, and training. Until recently, my dad traveled 6 days a week. He traveled so frequently that when my dad wasn't on the Waffle House private planes, he was almost always upgraded to first class, and I have never seen my dad keep a first class ticket. He always gives it away to a member of the armed forces, an elderly person, or a parent with a newborn child. For over 35 years, while entire communities fled from hurricanes and tropical storms, my dad and the other devoted members of the Waffle House community were traveling into the storms to try to keep units open so that there was food available for first responders. My dad grew up with very, very little in Iran. Nobody helped or encouraged my dad to go to high school, but he did. Nobody helped or encouraged my dad to go to college, but he did. My dad met my mom in college, and he finally had a cheerleader. My mom encouraged my dad to move to America, and on my dad's 24th birthday, they did. My mom and dad encouraged each other to go to grad school, and they did. In his 30s, my dad wrote a life plan, and if you read it, he still has it. You will see that he had huge hopes for his future, and every one of those things he did. It is my pleasure to introduce my dad, Jim Gholamhosseini.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much, and thank you for that warm introduction. You almost brought tears to my eyes, which is easy to do. As I was preparing for this morning, I came across the core values of your law firm. And I'd have to say that I was impressed with the amount of good work that Seth Bader and Go Scott have put into, gratitude, respect, open hearts, winning, trust, humility. Over 40 years, I've had the opportunity to interact with people who run very, very big business in some of the most successful companies in America. I've sat in their boardrooms, and I have dealt with people who run the companies. So I will tell you with a great deal of authority that those core values are the making of great people, great cultures, and great companies. Should you stick to those, which I know you will, the future of your law firm would be in the major leagues. It is clear that Seth and Louis consciously have decided that their law firm is going to play in the big leagues in the future. And I think it's a decision that each of us individually will have to make as well. It's okay to play in the minor leagues as long as that's what you choose to do. It's not okay to play there when you have other ambitions. So what I'd like to share with you are really 2 things today. When we think about ourselves and our personal growth, we generally have emotional responses to how we feel and how we are and how well we do. And those are important. But more important for personal growth is an accurate inventory of our skill sets. The skills that we shouldn't take for granted and explore and learn. Those are one set of the stuff that I want to talk to you about. And the other is how to go about doing them. So I would say to play in the major leagues, to do great things, you should start by being authentic. By that I mean, be who you are and not being afraid of being imperfect, not trying to emulate or be like someone else. Understand that the whole world is not always going to like you, but you should respect the world and then understand who you are and what you are and do your contributions like you want them to be. Look to your inner self rather than act and talk and pursue the things that other people want you to do. The other skill of life is collaboration. It is really easy to take orders or issue orders within a chain of command. Your personal growth comes when you can work outside of the chain of command and work with people that don't report to you and you don't report to them, and you have the ability to bring together and do work. Another skill of life is planning. Most people plan in their heads. I encourage you to plan on paper. Write down what you want done. Spend time. Set aside time. Plan time for planning. When you do, the rewards are great. And if you don't, the cost is a lot as well. Communicate. Communication is a skill that most people give themselves higher grade for than they should. It's really important in any profession. You don't have to be a lawyer to have to, in any profession, it's important to use language and use words and vocabulary that lets the other person know what you really mean and get the effect that you expect from them. The other skill is the skill of listening. I encourage you to listen enthusiastically with a sense of curiosity. When someone disagrees with you and they disagree vehemently, instead of thinking while they are talking, how can I just prepare my response? I would like to think, how fascinating. I would like to know why it is that this person feels or thinks the way they do, so that I can learn from that. Or if I want to reject it, now I'm going to reject it intelligently and with good logic. The other area of life that major leaguers do well in is taking full responsibility for all of life. A lot happens all the time. Some is good, some is not. It's really important to understand that anything that happens to you happens because of something that you attracted to yourself. So taking full responsibility for life. I would suggest to anytime something goes wrong, if your first thought is, I got to find a way to make sure everybody knows that I really didn't cause this issue, warning, that's something you need to change. And then empathy. Understanding that, you have to care about other people. You would start by caring about yourself. You should care enough to start the journey of self-development, the journey of getting better. You should care enough about your family to do what you can to take care of them. But that's just not enough. You need to go beyond that and care about other people, the world, the people you work with, the people that you interact with. And someday you will realize that when a child is born somewhere in a third country, somehow you are related to that person. And then, of course, moral fiber. Having moral fiber, think about what Seth and Louis are doing this morning. They're investing a lot of money in you to listen to other people And occasionally you're going to pick up a thing or two during people's talks that would be of benefit to you. It is not of direct benefit to them, but mostly to you. At everything you do in life, the moral fiber that you have will show. The right people would pick up the level of integrity, the level of honesty, and it's always good to be on the right side of that. The last or the second part of the thing that I want to talk to you about is that you can't go through life and play in the major leagues and do great things by yourself. You have to ask for help from the right people. And I'm a great example of that. Ashley mentioned that I did not grow up with a lot as a child. I did not. As a matter of fact, I was the first person to finish high school in my family. I was the only person to finish college in my family. It took 13 years after I put out a full scholarship for any family member that wanted to go to college for the first person to go and become the second person to have a college degree. And I think it is really important to have mentors and role models that you pick. Think about every company in America has a board of directors, and their job, board of directors really have two jobs, is to make sure that the company is governed right. And the other is to evaluate, the job that the CEO of the company is doing. And if you think you as a person are just as important as any company in America, where it doesn't have to be that you make all the decisions by yourself, is that you have people that help you. You have people that you can go to, and you have the only thing that is worse than going through life without the benefit of mentors is to go through life with the wrong mentors. So my advice to you is, when you pick your mentors, make sure that they are very successful in the area that you're asking them questions about, in the area that you're looking for help. If you want to be a good dad, go to very successful dads and ask them how to be a good dad. If you want to be a good mother, do that. If you want to learn about, being the best spouse, go talk to those who are. And if you want to be a very successful senior partner in a law firm or an executive in a company, study and ask help from people who have done it. I would advise you to look at the level of success of the individual that has come to you before taking their advice. I go back to this issue of authenticity. Is that you go through life knowing that you're good at some things, you're not very good at others. That's no crime. What you have to do, be the best person that you can be. The only person you should compare yourself to is the person you were a day ago or a week ago, because no other comparison would really be fair. So I wish we had more time, and I wish that I could just take one of those topics and talk to you about for a longer period of time. But I wish you the best in life. I thank you, for my part, for the influence that you were on Ashley's life. Every time that I saw her and asked her, how are you doing? She loved being in your law firm. She loved you. And I say this confidently. I know that she is leaving you with a heart full of gratitude. And so am I for the work that you did with her and for the time that you gave me this morning. So thank you very much. And that's all I have, unless you have any questions.
Well, first, Jim, thank you so much. You have a very inspiring story, and as a young father, I just want to say you are in some ways a role model to me. So I just want to thank you so much. And I think as a leader also, you're a role model to me, Luis, and probably many others in our firm after today. So congratulations to you, of course, on your success and now Ashley's success. I do have a question, but while I'm asking this question, if anybody else has any questions, please feel free to put them in the chat bar. But my question is this: one of our core values is trust, and I've always believed that the trust really is the key to success in this business, amongst others. What can you say to us about? And obviously Waffle House has established itself as one of the most trustworthy restaurants in the world. What can you say to us about what it takes to build trust and what it takes to maintain trust?
Thank you, Seth. I think that is a wonderful question and probably one of the more important questions in life. I think trust begins with being transparent with yourself, being transparent with your team, and not being afraid of not being a complete person. People trust us more when they know that we are reliable. People would trust us more when they know that we are authentic, that we are not trying to act out a position, act out a strategy, act out our role in an issue. And that we tell it like it is without being offensive. I think saying what you think is important in establishing trust. But there are certain times in life where crises come up, and you as a person or you as a leader would be tested. And I think in those periods of time, people will make permanent judgments, about you. You mentioned, starting with Hurricane Hugo was in 1989, I believe. Some of the people here may not have been born yet, but in 1989, when Hurricane Hugo hit, and as the eye of the storm was passing over Charleston, I was in a hotel room behind the Waffle House, covered under the bed, going through that, and have done that in every single hurricane since then, so that when the storm is there, when the people get up, I would be standing in them to be able to make right decisions on the spot rather than through secondhand information. So I think during crisis, people look for the emotional strength that leaders demonstrate. But in our day-to-day interactions, I would suggest think of three specific things. One is authenticity, be who you are. The other is demonstrate caring for the other person. Show that you care, show that you empathize, and be genuine about it. And the other is communicate often. And I think that, again, in the very short time that we have, I don't want to keep you all day, but those would be my thoughts on creating trust.
Well, first, thank you. I think that I bet if we told everybody that we would keep you all day, they would be very happy with that. But we just have a few other questions. See, somebody said keep us all day. So we have a question. This comes from your daughter. What book would you recommend for someone who wants to be a major leaguer?
Okay, thank you, Ashley. The book would be Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. I would suggest to you that when you read that book, it's like reading 150 self-development books, and when you get it, I read the book first time when I was 32 years old, and I read it once every 6 months. It's available in, I think, it's on tape, and it's also hardcover, and you will not be disappointed. It is fantastic.
Thank you for that. I actually, Ashley sent that question to me privately by accident, and I didn't know if I was supposed to give my answer, but that would have been my answer as well. I was about 35 when I read that book. It changed my life, and I actually took a phrase from the book and I used it with my daughter. I've sort of adapted it, but it's if I believe I can achieve, which is a very abridged version of what he said in the book. And so, yeah, that's an amazing book for any of you who have not read Napoleon Hill. You have to check it out. It's a game changer. We also had another question. Where did you find balance between becoming successful, I guess, in business and being a parent? Where and how?
I think, for all of my life being a very busy person, I've had a family calendar and my business calendar. And those two have been meshed together. Ashley is a witness to the fact that we constantly communicate. First of all, I set aside the family times, and I have traveled by air back to be at a birthday party and traveled back after the birthday party when I needed to. But what I see most successful people do is make sure that they constantly review the important events. What you don't want to do is to miss the important work events or the important family events. Somehow, when you make that an objective, you will see that it's not as hard as people say. We don't have to choose between work and family. They really are interrelated. I look at the Waffle House family as my family, and my kids look at the Waffle House family as my family. And I know that, in your law firm, with these core values that you have, the group of people that would mesh together, they would feel that way. So when something important is happening in the family, it's not just me that wants to be there. My Waffle House family wants to make sure that I'm there. And I think that it's really an easy balance to make. It is not a choice. With the right mindset, it happens.
Thank you. I think I just have two questions. Then I think Luis has one announcement to close out the day here.
Sure.
Is Waffle House open right now?
We have 2,000 restaurants. Of the 2,000 restaurants, roughly around 1,200 of them are open right now. And of those, a few are still not open 24 hours. But we are gearing up. We are opening them up as the state's easing down some of the regulations. So we have a plan that over a period of few weeks, we would be back to the new normal, however that is defined. But we are open. Please come in. In Atlanta, Georgia, still anywhere you turn, you should be able to find us.
Okay, one more question, and then I'm going to pass it off to Luis. What do you recommend? What is your favorite thing to eat at Waffle House?
The All-Star. You can't go wrong with a Waffle House All-Star. I think you just simply cannot go wrong with that. So I tell you what, when things get back to normal, one day, what I like to do is to send the Waffle House truck and feed all of you for breakfast. How about that?
God willing. God willing. That would be awesome.
Right. So when the new normal happens, we will get back together and do that. So.
Well, with that, we thank you again. This has been amazing. Congratulations, Luis. I'm going to let you finish this off, but thank you, Jim, Ashley. Thank you. Congratulations to you both today. Such an exciting day. We're very grateful you took some time to be with us on such a big day for you guys. Luis, did you want to finish this out?
Yeah. Thank you so much, Jim, for your presentation and for giving so much. I think that sometimes we don't understand the true value of when people give like you have this morning without any expectation of return. And that makes it even more of a blessing to us. So we're super excited about that. And we know that the restaurant industry has been hit extremely hard, especially during this quarantine time period. You mentioned 48,000, or Ashley mentioned 48,000 employees, and you have 800 stores that are closed. That's a lot of employees or families who are not as fortunate as many of us here who have been employed the entire time. And so we're in this together with Waffle House. We're committed with Waffle House. We know the great work that they do in the Atlanta community and throughout the country. And so what we want to do is we want to give back to Waffle House by supporting the local stores, the local restaurants. And we're going to be paying for $15 for every employee to go eat at Waffle House over the weekend. All they have to do is tag Waffle House, get the word out that they support Waffle House. They can take it to go. They can come into the stores, like you said, and give a good tip to some of the waitresses. So $15 for every employee to go to Waffle House and enjoy the All-Star Special. All they have to do is get their purchase, post their food, tag Waffle House, and get the word out that you guys are open so we can support you guys through this very difficult time. So thank you again for your contribution.
Wonderful. Wow.
Yeah. So
fantastic. I'm grateful. That is fantastic.
That's awesome.
And it is awesome of you guys to do that. We promise that we will take good care of you and we will return the favor when things get back to normal. So thank you all
so
very
much.
That is a very, very great gesture on your part. And I'm humbled by your generosity. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for giving. Thanks, Ashley.
Thanks.
Of course. Love you guys. Bye. Thank you for everything.
Have an amazing day, everybody. See you soon.
Thank you.
Friday.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
All right.